team that's the most important for this year because it's the next game. We're not worried about the Super Bowl. That's irrelevant. Right now we're focused on the Arizona Cardinals. Great win today, great team win today, and we just got to put it together to find a way to win on Sunday or Saturday.
And the final spot in the championship round is up for grabs. The Steelers leading 13-12 over the Broncos as the fourth quarter is about to begin. Ben Roethlisberger, 236 passing yards. Peyton Manning has 146. NBA, the T-Wolves beat the Suns 117-87. Andrew Wiggins and Ricky Rubio both score 18 points. Minnesota ended their 9-game losing streak. And on the college ranks, number 10 SMU, they remain undefeated, beating Tulane 60-45. Number 4 Michigan State falls to Wisconsin 77-76. NHL Sidney Crosby, a pair of goals. The Penguins shut out the Hurricanes 5-0, and the Canucks over the Isles 2-1 in a shootout. For the rest of your scores, go to NBCSportsRadio.com. Listen to NBC Sports Radio on your local station, online, and the mobile app. I'm Keith Irizarry.
This is KCAA.
Slam the door on FeePay. Forget everything you know about selling online because I'm here to tell you about a new and revolutionary way to buy and sell on the internet. BuySellMakeOffer.com is here to shake up the web. Tired of paying those outrageous fees? You'll never pay a fee with BuySellMakeOffer.com. For a monthly membership package starting at only $7.95, you can list and sell up to 50 items. That would cost you nearly $100 with the other guys. Go right now to BuySellMakeOffer.com and sign up today.
Inland Empire, RJS Action Shots, your one-stop shop for professional photography, studio, live events, family, corporate, and church functions. RJS has been in business for over 20 years, bringing the Inland Empire and the greater Los Angeles area quality photos with friendly customer service. We are your one-stop shop for all your photography needs. RJS specializes in team sports and action digital photography. So call now and speak to one of our friendly staff members. RJS Action Shots, 909-264-0489. Your leader in quality prints. That's 909-264-0489. Call us today. Brought to you by Danny Alcaraz Productions.
KCAA. Attention homeowners, is your fixed rate above 3.75%?
Hello, Sean Nevin here, president of Pacific Home Loans. We are a direct lender specializing in refinance and purchase loans with a AAA rating from the BBB. As a local Southern California lender, we pride ourselves on superior customer service while delivering the absolute lowest rates. Pacific Home Loans will pay you $500 if any of our competitors can beat our offer. Purchasing a home, we will close your loan in 20 days or pay your moving costs. What lender does that? With home values on the rise, now is the perfect time to get cash out. We offer the lowest conventional jumbo, FHA, and VA rates in the market. Saving money is important to you. Call 888-888-BLUE or go to phloans.com. Call 888-888-2583 and ask about our no-cost 3% fixed rate. A 5-minute call can save you thousands of dollars.
Certain restrictions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Licensed by the BRE 019-12112. NMLS license number 90616. $500 offer subject to management approval. Moving costs limited to $500. 3% APR fixed rate amortized over 120 payments. 720 FICO. 80% max LTV.
If saving money is important to you, call 888-888-BLUE.
Welcome to Wyatt's Paint and Body in sunny San Bernardino, California. Hey, if we can't fix your car, nobody can. Wyatt's Paint and Body started in 1975. My father, Randy Wyatt, opened the business because he had a passion for cars and he developed a real strong love for San Bernardino. Our primary business is collision repair. We can negotiate with the insurance company how to repair your vehicle, but that doesn't mean that's where we stop. We also have done restoration work, we've done custom work. We will match the paint to where you wouldn't see the difference of what we repaired and what we painted versus what was already on the vehicle. We do a lot of repairs in-house as far as brakes to suspension parts that may be out of alignment or damaged, so they may need to be replaced. Frame repair, when a vehicle gets hit so hard that the frame's bent or shifted, we have to repair the frame back to its specifications. We can take care of all that, but it just doesn't stop at vehicles. We've painted boats, We've repaired motorcycles. We've developed a great relationship with the city and the county of San Bernardino. Occasionally we'll have the city vehicles and also Caltrans. Taking care of a customer is number one. When a vehicle enters our shop, we will take it to the fullest to make sure that that customer is happy. When someone has their vehicle damaged and they don't know where else to turn and they come to you and you repair the vehicle and the person's crying, tears of joy, when you hand them the keys, that's something you can't get anywhere else. It's a very good feeling and I really enjoy that. This isn't just a job, this is a life, this is my life. If you ever need your car worked on, come to 350 North Rancho Avenue, San Bernardino, California, or you can call us at 909-885-5051. You're not just a job, you're not just a dent on the fender, you're a person. Here at Wyatt's Paint and Body, no one will treat you like we do.
Your voice, your opinions, heard round the world at www.kcaaradio.com. The station that leaves no listener behind, KCAA.
You know what? When I first saw you, I knew our love would be true. That chance and last forever.
As I walk behind that girl, she smiled and she turned around, talking with this sweet romantic sound. The rhythm of my heart is tumbling down. My thoughts maybe I was dreaming. She's standing right in front of me, the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. I never knew her love could really be. Ooh, I dream of you. One thing, I dream of you. I love to tell you, my baby, my baby. That special girl of my dreams is you.
Come on, baby. Let's dream. Yeah, live our lives to the extreme.
I linger to see you every day. The hunger for your love to find its way, so our dreams of life can come true. Together, you and me in our world. You have taken my loving heart, believing no chance to grow apart. Desire and want you in every way. I pray that our love will never run away. I dream of you. One thing, I dream of you. I love to tell you, my baby, my baby. That special girl of my dreams is you.
So let's dream, baby girl. Make this night last. For that one chance. Our love grows stronger and stronger as time will pass.
I just wanna hold and squeeze you tight. Sure that the love will be alright. I cherish the love
Danny Alvarez. Today we have a variety of shows. Tune in on the Alvarez Angel Baby Sunday block. CNBC Radio, 1050 AM and 106.5 FM. Every Sunday, tune in. You never know who's coming on. KCAA Radio.
Sunday Block with Danny Alvarez and Benita Rodriguez. I'm Benita Rodriguez, and I'll be your host of Voices of the Inland Empire radio show on station CNBC station KAA 1050 AM and 106.5 FM. Website is www.kcaaradio.com. Part of the Danny Alvarez and Angel Baby Sunday Block every Sunday from 4 to 5 p.m. Call-in line is 1-888-909-1050. If you would like to be sponsored, advertise on Sunday Block, and reach thousands of social media, contact Danny Alvarez or Benita Rodriguez. Green Shack is deli established since 1978. Voted best sub in the IE on 163 West Highland Avenue. Phone order is 909-886-3812. Also go visit the Traveling Shack for all your traveling needs. We also have J&J Sports Bar and Grill, 127 East Highland Avenue. The food is great, so go out and try it. Today we have Jim Penman, and we'll be discussing the Home and Neighborly Service.
How you doing,
Hello.
Jim?
I'm great, Danny, and it's wonderful to be back here at KCAA. Thank you for inviting us.
No problem. You're the man.
I don't know. Depends on who you talk to.
How's your career going?
Going well. I'm of counsel at Milligan, Beswick, Levine, and Knox. Long-time law firm in San Bernardino. I practice civil law. And our firm is working without charge right now for the Board of the Home and Neighborly Services. Their attorneys to help the home get back on their feet.
Okay, so what's going on over there?
Yeah.
A lot of things have been happening. You know, the Home of Neighborly Service is one of the oldest social work institutions in the city and really in the region. It was established by the Board of National Missions of the Presbyterian Church in 1922 at the corner of Spruce and Mount Vernon.
That's a long time.
A long time ago. Then in 1926, they built the current Home of Neighborly Service, and there were 23 Homes of Neighborly Service throughout the southwestern United States that the Presbyterian Church started. They're called settlement houses, and they're based on the settlement house movement. One of them, famous one, was Jane Addams in Chicago, Hull House. And the idea is a Christian social worker settles into the community and works with the community and provides services and tries to improve things. And the home had a great career for many years and still has a great future. One of the things that the homes have done throughout the United States where they're located is to identify young leaders. And at our Home of Neighborly Service, that's especially true in the Latino and Black communities, African American communities, where we would sort of sponsor young people, make sure they got through high school, get them into college. A number of people went through that very successfully. Probably one of the most notable ones in our community is Tino Garza, who was involved with the Home and Neighborly Service in Texas, where he grew up.
I see.
And Tino became one of our community's most renowned attorneys.
Oh, wow.
The first Latino president of a community college, similarly, came through our Home and Neighborly Service in San Bernardino.
Wow. I did a few gigs there a few times.
Right.
I took some car show. We did some music.
Wow.
Through the years. I've been doing stuff a lot of years, just like you.
We both have been.
Yeah.
Well, I was director of the Home and Neighborly Service from 1971 to 1983. I was the last director to live there upstairs in the director's apartment with my family. And it's a wonderful institution, helped a lot of people.
How are we going to, it's opening back up, right?
It is. On Monday, the food program opens up again.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
And we're really pleased to have that happen. For the food program, the home's going to be open from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And they're going to do the food distribution on Fridays from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And what's happened is Amparo Olguin was the last real full-time director of the home. She was there over 10 years. She passed away a few years ago. And after that, the the home lost a lot of its funding. They didn't have enough money for full-time staff, and they reached a point where they had volunteers, and some people got involved who probably should not have become involved. And there was a dispute that went on. What happened, the Presbytery of Riverside, which is sort of like the Diocese of San Bernardino for people who are familiar with the Catholic
Yes.
Church. Well, the Presbytery of Riverside is a similar agency that administratively deals with the various Presbyterian churches throughout Riverside and San Bernardino counties. And they own that home and neighborly service. They also had one in Redlands and one in Casablanca and Riverside. And in the late 70s, early 80s, they started turning the boards over to community members to run these agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And the church got a little less involved. And for the last 2 or 3 years, maybe a little bit longer, they had not been really involved. But when all these problems started happening, they came back in. And the mission presbyter, which is the title of their executive,
Yes.
is an ex officio member of the board of the home, and she's now meeting regularly. Every board meeting she's there. Some board members have resigned.
Mhm.
Another one was removed, and the acting director was removed. And the board now, Joe Martinez is the president of the board. Joe's also on the school board over in Rialto.
I see.
And there are 4 voting members on the board presently, and the 1 voting member, which is the executive of the Riverside Presbytery.
Yes.
And their main concern is to get the home reopened, get funding back in. They can't reopen it full time without funding because they don't have enough money for a staff, but they're gonna get there.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So you say there's no money. Does that have to do with the economy in America? And we're in a recession because nobody's giving out the grants and all that kind of stuff?
That's part of it.
Or is just the city itself?
Well, the city, for many years, the home was funded by the Arrowhead United Way. It was one of the charter members of the United Way when it was first formed. In fact, before there was a United Way, there was what's called the Community Chest, and before that, the Red Feather Agency.
Yes.
And that all evolved into the United Way. And when I was director of the home, we had a very substantial annual income from the home, from the United Way. We also had money coming in from Head Start classes that we had there.
Mm-hmm.
But over the years, the United Way shifted its focus away from the community groups such as Casa Ramona.
What happened to Casa Ramona?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
It
like
kind
somebody
of
else.
shut down. It's not open anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have a closed off. They have a fence around it, but they do have a school, a charter school on the side of it, and that part's open, but the main Casa Ramona is closed.
And that part is running really well. In fact, my granddaughter is a student there at the Casa Ramona Charter School.
Oh,
Our grandson graduated there a couple of years ago. It's doing very well. But Casa Ramona also lost their United Way funding. And United Way shifted more to funding groups with a different emphasis and some of the larger national charities, some of the health agencies, Cancer Society, and those groups. So that money for local use disappeared. Then the city has its block grant money, but the home lost that money about a year or two ago.
I see.
So that really hurt. So there's some money left remaining that they're using to keep the lights on, but if they don't start getting some donations pretty soon, things are not gonna go well.
Can I talked to Joe Martinez, and he turned around and told me that they needed a grant writer and to submit their grants in. And I did kind of ask him why they hadn't got a grant writer for it. And he said it was basically because he didn't really trust the grant writers. So I also told him, well, the city offers a class for it to learn how to do it. And he just said he didn't really have the time to do it. So then I was like, okay. And he asked me if I knew how to do the grant writer, and I said, no, I don't know how to do it, but I'm willing to take a class. So I was getting January the 26th, they do have a class.
All right.
So I'm was going to take the class to learn how to do the grant. Not because of the home or anything, but it's good to know to do it. But why was it that it was, they didn't turn around and get a grant writer so that they can have the funding?
It's more than a grant writer. In order to get grants today and for many years, you have to have your financial books audited every year.
Yes.
And because of the problems the home had, and because of some of the people that were involved, the records were not in a situation where they could be audited. Very simply, the city, recently had that problem. The city failed to get its audits for the last 3 years before the bankruptcy. And when they finally put together enough money to get a firm to come in and look at them, the books were in disarray. Information was stored in different places.
Mm-hmm.
And the city took several years to get those audits done. Now, we've heard that the last one has been done, but it still hasn't been made public yet.
Okay.
And we don't know why yet. Well, the home on a much smaller scale has a similar situation. When some of the people were removed who were there on a day-to-day basis, a number of the records disappeared. And they're simply not there.
Okay.
And there's no one there who can reconstruct those records. But the first thing the board did after removing those people was to vote to have an independent audit done of the home's books and try to reconstruct everything that's happened financially. Now, there's no accusation that anyone did anything wrong, that someone did anything with the money, because quite frankly, there wasn't very much money to do anything with.
That's true.
So, if someone was looking around, sometimes you hear people say when they're talking about the city or some other entity, where'd all the money go? Well, there wasn't all that money at the home. There wasn't very much at all.
Yes.
So, but they realize they need to do that. The Presbyterian Church, through the Presbytery of Riverside, is providing the leadership there, and they're the ones suggesting an auditing firm. So it's coming independently. It's not the board that's suggesting the firm.
Yes.
It's coming from the Presbytery of Riverside. The board has to be the one to hire the firm. But we think we have enough money there. I'm not on the board, but as I've indicated, we've been serving as their legal counsel the last 2 or 3 months and providing those services without charge, because the home is such a great agency and it means so much to the community.
That's what I've heard.
So we do need to find a trained grant writer, and some of the people that I think the home had relied on to write grants, there were some problems there. This is all a relatively short period. After Amparo Holguin left and up until just a couple of months ago.
Yes.
And so those are the things that are happening. They voted to get an audit. They're going to be getting an audit. And they have to have that to get any grants. And there's no real purpose in applying for a grant unless you send in an audit with it, because they're not going to look at you seriously at all.
Yes.
In fact, most places, even the United Way, they require an annual audit. So that's the first thing they've got to get.
Mr. Penman, what do you think are the necessary steps to get the home flourishing again, to get it back up on its feet, knowing that it's been a long-standing institution in our community and it's done so good, done many goods and helped better the community, empowering people and giving them opportunities that they may not have had, and especially with the food. Certain families, almost 50% of our community is under the poverty line. So it is making sure that people are able to eat. What do you think are some of the necessary steps to get it back on track, to get it flourishing once again?
I think the home is doing exactly what they need to do. I think they've sort of cleaned house. They're starting fresh. The Presbytery of Riverside is heavily involved now. They're watching what's going on. They're participating in what's going on. And they're doing the things, when you ask what they need to do, it's the things they're doing now. They've already got an audit. They're restructuring the board. They're looking for new additional board members, qualified people in the community. Those things are happening. They're getting the home reopened for the food program next Monday to start.
Yes.
They've also done some other things. That I mentioned the board candidates. I mentioned the food program. We also they are starting to work with Habitat for Humanity and addressing the buildings needs, which is something that definitely needs to be done.
Will they be getting any more of board members anytime soon? I think they have I don't know if it's elections that they do or they just point somebody. I thought I read in March or something like that. You might be getting new board members?
They have 4 voting members now, and the Mission Presbyter is a non-voting member. And they've reached out to the community and to the churches for nominations for people to be on the board, and they're going to be voting on those candidates for board members in the next few months. So that's going to get going. They have had a few things, like December 21st, they had a Christmas party, and they provided a Christmas meal, and they were planning to feed 150 people. And they had somewhere between 240 and 280 show up.
Yes.
But they were able to stretch the food, so everybody got some. So I think those are the things. But what happens to get money in a nonprofit, and as I mentioned, I ran the home for many years. Probably at a period I was fortunate, it was probably better funded at that time. The Presbyterian Church donated money, the United Way, other entities, and the agency has to have a really good reputation, and it had really a good reputation for many years, long before I came and long after I left. It was really well thought of. But the last couple of years, people were saying things that weren't so good, and that hurts. When that happens, something needs a change, and that change happened. The board came in.
I don't get it. Why do people break things when it don't need to be fixed? I mean, when it's going good, and I don't get it. I don't know why people do that.
I don't either, and I think I disagreed with some of the funding sources and their decisions, and I was on the United Way board for a number of years, and I was pleased when I was there at the work that they did. Their new direction, while I understand why they went that way, it hurt a lot of the locally based organizations, places such as Casa Ramona, such as the Home and Neighborly Service. And as the funding started to diminish, you had a change, I think, sometimes in the caliber of leadership on the staff and in the staff itself. And then that's a snowball effect, because then they say, well, yeah, we cut you last year, but this year, we were checking and you're not doing any better and things aren't improving. That went on for a few years. It not only happened to the home, though, it happened to a lot of locally based nonprofits throughout the nation. And a lot of them have survived and come back. A lot of them closed and never came back and probably never will. Our goal is to get the home back again.
Yes. Can I ask you too? I know that you had a lot of volunteers. Well, they had a lot of volunteers at the Home and Neighborly Service, and I know that they were giving out classes, and maybe they, Jose was kind of mentioning maybe they would take, whatever change or dollar or whatever for whatever classes just to pay the water bill, the electricity bill, whatever it is that needed to be, just to keep the building afloat and pay for the utilities. Why is it that they turned around and not able to continue on doing what they were doing, helping the community
There's
out
no
in
staff.
that kind of way?
There's no staff. You can have a building and you can have the lights on and you can have the gas and the water on and the phone on, but if there's not somebody in there to run the building, and the board did not know who they could really count on who had been there.
Okay.
They did not know. They did not know if the people that were volunteering were as much of were more of a problem than an asset. They didn't know. They had no way of knowing because the board is not there on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
And there were, as sometimes happened, there were 2 different groups on the board, and some of them left. And it was probably a good thing that they left, because the home needs to go in a new direction and needs to start over.
Yes.
And the community needs to have the confidence restored in the home.
Yes.
And the only way to do that is with the programs, and that's what they're doing. They've restarted the food program, and my guess is most of it's going to be done by volunteers. And I would bet that there'll be a few days. It's supposed to be open from Monday to Wednesday, as I mentioned.
Yes.
And my guess is that there'll be some times when it won't be open full-time at the start. But I think as they build up a cadre of volunteers, it'll get stronger, it'll be open more. And when they get that audit done, they can start looking for grants. And then we'll find out if it's going to fly or not.
I heard 20 hours a week or something like that they were supposed to be having it open or something like that.
Well, they're shooting for 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Wednesday. And then on Fridays, distributing the food from 10 a.m. to 4:30.
Okay.
So you can kind of add those numbers up. I haven't done it in my head yet. I don't know if it makes the 20 hours or not.
Yes.
But that's a start.
we have one of the volunteers that we had the honor of meeting, Jose. And Jose, how do you feel hearing this? It sounds like positive progress. It seems as if they're taking steps in the right direction to be able to address the needs within our community. But knowing that some of the experiences that you had endured, how do you feel?
You know, I mean, with all due respect, I met Mr. Pinman when the home had a break-in not too long ago, a few months ago, and I asked him there, if he was representing the other board members, and he actually told me that he was representing the home, not necessarily the board members. He was representing the home, and with that being said, I'm just here I'm here speaking on the behalf of the volunteers and the instructors that have been part of the home for 2 years now. We've all put in time, we've all helped for the community, and if with all due respect, if you're helping the home, you haven't asked any of us our opinions. You haven't asked us how we can help. You haven't told us that, even if we think we can help, you haven't told us, no, you can't because you guys are no good or whatever, but you haven't spent any time to help figure out what's going on. And instead, you're saying that they cleaned house at the home. We still have 3 board members there that were part of 3 years of nothing that happened at the home. These board members have been on there for 3 years, and they helped nothing happen at the home.
Well, I can address that. I know at least one of them was a relatively new board member, came on a few years ago. Mm. The ones that are mostly there now are people who did come on and people who were in the minority in terms of the majority of the board. And they saw things happening that concerned them. And they expressed those concerns and they were disregarded. And when the Presbytery of Riverside came back in, those people that had been the minority faction, who had not been in control of the board but had been on it, they were the ones that remained. And the ones who had constituted the majority that were there when the home was having the problems that you're referring to, they're gone now. The ones that are left, it's like, let's say you belong to a club, and let's say there's a board of 5 people, and let's say you're on that board, you're one of 5, and you see things going in a way you don't think they're going well, and you speak out against that, and the other 4, they vote you down, and they say, no, we've got it taken care of. We've got the program going, the club's going, things are well. And then it reaches a point where things get so bad that finally, for the first time, the board hears, we're broke. We don't have any money. Said, wait a minute, you told us everything was going well. You said you had all these volunteers. You said the programs are running. Now you're telling us there's not enough money to keep the building open, keep the lights on? Yeah, that's what happened. Well, then, some of the board members changed their attitude a little, and all of a sudden, and some resigned, all of a sudden the majority was gone and the minority became the majority. The people who had been protesting and who had been expressing their concerns about the way things were going on, all of a sudden they were there. And they went to the Presbyterian Church, and the Presbyterian Church became aware through the Presbytery of Riverside, not only through the board members, but also from the community. So they got involved again. So in that club I'm talking about, all of a sudden, yeah, you were there the whole time, but you were speaking out and no one was listening to you. Is it fair that you should have to leave and you should get the blame when you spoke out and the things you wanted to have changed didn't get changed?
Well, I mean, board member Rigo's the one that supposedly discovered, and he's been the treasurer, the bookkeeper, the accountant. So how did it take him 3 years to find out this was going on?
I can tell you how it takes 3 years to find things out is because when someone comes to you with a bill and you check that bill and it's a legitimate bill and somebody has provided that service and the only person you have to rely on is the person who provided the service and the person who's working for the home who's telling you this is a good bill that needs to be paid. But they did start to question some of those bills, and some of them were questioned early on.
We're going to go into a break. Joe, go ahead and hit one.
I can hear the angels ringing their chimes of a bell. As the time goes by, a world of paradise. We had time, you and I, to smile, laugh, and cry. So wipe away your tears and remember the happy years. Forever and forever, I live inside your dreams. My heart, my love will be together, just you and me. The morning, a sunrise, every evening a sunset. I whispered a word that's true, and at this moment I'm with you. The first spring of romance, a summer we play and dance, to fall in love one night, then a warm winter every night. Forever and forever, I live inside your dreams. My heart, my love will be together, just you and me. Forever and forever, I live inside your dreams. My heart, my love will be together, just you and me. I can hear the angels ringing their chimes of bells. I can hear the angels ringing their chimes of bells. Through the mountain skies, on the top of the river high, down to an ocean blue, I'll always be with you.
Okay, we're back with Jim Pittman.
Thank you.
And yeah, we were speaking off air about the changes that are being implemented right now, and for the volunteers that truly do care and are compassionate and want to help with the home, how would you instruct them to get involved and fall in line with what your vision and mission is? Because we were speaking off air about like life scans and background checks.
Yes.
Those need to be implemented, especially when you're working in communities with kids and everything. I totally understand that. Is there any? First, could you give the volunteers a word of encouragement? Because I know with all that confusion, they were giving up their time to make sure that the needs of the community were met, regardless of money coming in and everything. So to me, just to have that willingness to serve, regardless of, not having everything you need to actually get it done, it almost makes me think of like turning the 5 loaves and 2 fish, you know what I mean? They were pulling rabbits out of hats. So I imagine in your heart of hearts that you appreciate their effort to help the community. But I know, especially from your legal side of things, there's a certain way and structure that things have to be implemented. So if you give them a word of encouragement and then let them know how they could be involved and the protocols and steps they need to take so they can be involved and document it and, on the same page.
Well, absolutely. I think almost any nonprofit organization, and most of the ones I've been involved in that provide services to the community, the volunteers are the heart of those organizations. And obviously, the fact that the home had volunteers and programs were going on was a positive thing. And while the volunteers probably didn't know what was going on behind the scenes and what was happening administratively,
Yes.
they saw the programs going and they felt very good about it. And I'm sure that most of those volunteers were top-notch people and they would have passed all the checks that should have been done. But the board is in a position now where they've got to make sure that before they have someone there representing the home that person has had those background checks done, and that's something that's going to be happening. And hopefully, every single one of those people would have passed a background check, and I'd like to think that they probably would have.
Yes.
And I would say to them, rather than developing a strongly negative attitude about what's happening because you were there and things went wrong that were not your fault and that you were not involved in, but other people were doing things that were causing the people in the community to ask a lot of questions and weren't getting answered, those changes had to be made. Yes. And changes don't happen overnight, and a board doesn't get constituted overnight. And I think some of the board members have indicated that they'd been happy to have left too, but the fact is, under California law, you've got to have a board running the nonprofit.
Yes.
And if everybody left, it would be even more of a problem than it is right now.
You know, I was just thinking that a lot of people don't understand when you're in business, this is a business. And a lot of people they don't have their own business, so they don't understand all the paperwork and everything is involved. So maybe that's how the arguments start, and because they don't understand.
Now, can I add something to that? They have closed sessions, and maybe if the community was able to kind of speak and see what's going on, maybe ask some questions, like we do as, at the council meetings, and you can stand up and kind of say, how what's going on. Maybe they can give them, some kind of feedback, and they can kind of express how they feel or what's going on, So why is it that they're not allowed to, communicate or talk?
Well, the meetings, what's happened is that not all of the people who left, but some of them have threatened to sue. One of them did file a claim against the board of the home.
Okay.
And I represented the home there. And the claims that this person made, and probably the volunteers used to work with this person and thought that they were an honest person.
Yes.
And I'm not saying they weren't, but the claim they made was false.
Okay.
And the government agency we were in front of saw that it was false. And after the hearing we had, and that person was there, I was there, a board member was there, and the official from the state of California was there. And after they heard the evidence and information, that was it. It was over. But to go back to your other question, because there's really two parts of questions there, the board has to be very careful right now what it says, because any statements it can make, members make,
yes,
can be twisted around and used against them in a hearing like the one I represented them at,
yes,
or in a lawsuit if somebody does decide to sue. And we have that sort of hanging over the head of the home with these people threatening to do that.
So are they allowed to, make a comment, once they find out what's happening or what's going on, with the home? Are they allowed to make a comment? Because they told me that they always have closed sessions, and the community kind of wants to find out things, and they're not able to.
Well, it's the same with the city or the county or any government agency. They all have closed sessions because by law there are certain things you can't discuss in an open session. One of those things is employees.
Mm.
And the biggest disruption that occurred at the home over the last couple of years involved some people who who claimed on the one hand that they were employees, but on the other hand they had a contract, which made them not employees. So you see, you have that type of a situation going on. And so the board has to be careful. But the board can talk as a board, and the meeting that I went to, they had a period for public comment for anybody who wanted to come in.
Oh, okay, because my understanding, they said that they don't do that, so I was just wondering why they don't.
Well, they did, and every board meeting I've been to, they've had that opportunity.
Okay.
There haven't been people have come, but maybe they were told. But it probably involves who said they do and who said they don't.
Yes.
Sorry, sir. What meeting was this? Because we've attended every single meeting they've had. That was.
You've never been to a meeting I've been at.
Correct, because
every meeting
started doing them elsewhere.
Every meeting I've been at, they've had that, and if you come to a meeting again, you'll have an opportunity to be heard.
Now, I believe Benita was invited to a meeting Thursday.
On Thursday.
Was told it was open to the public, which at the very least, it would have been considerate for them to at least hear them out. Maybe not speak how you said they can't speak, but to at least hear them out. But
Yes.
she was told it was open, and
Well, I'll be happy to.
the crowd was told to go away.
I'll be happy to address that.
And then they were told, "Will you guys volunteer for us?" After they, told them they wouldn't listen to them.
Yes.
Very
Understand.
disrespectful.
I got a question.
Sure.
So they're board members. So how do they lose their position? Do they get fired, or do
They can. One board member was removed by the rest of the board recently, and that can happen, and that has happened legally, and everyone that's been removed was removed legally. There was a group out there of people who the current board viewed as being the source of the administrative difficulties, and those people were going around saying they were the legitimate board. They were not. Those people were legitimately removed from the board.
So Rocket and Angie are not board members.
Rocket and Angie resigned.
That's not what they told us, but if that's what you're saying, we'll ask
The
them.
legal part is saying that they resigned.
As,
so I would
from
think
a, as an attorney and as the attorney for the board of the home, the information that I have and the information in the minutes and the people that I've interviewed, they both resigned. That's what I was told.
Okay.
Now, if they have something different to say, there are ways they can bring that before a hearing officer who can look at that and see if who's right, who's wrong. But the place it should not be dealt with is here, or just out with people arguing with one another. And I'm happy to be here to answer the concerns that you've got. And I will tell you, though, as any attorney would have done, I've advised the board members, do not make public statements about what's happened. Do not make public statements about why someone is no longer here. Don't say any of that. And if anybody asks you, just tell them, I'm sorry, we can't comment on that. So that may have been what they were doing. But if the meetings I was at, they had a time where people could talk, and I will talk to Mr. Martinez, and I'll talk to Reverend Gam, the mission presbyter, and I'm sure that they will make sure in the future that there is a time period for that. When they get into the same issues, I was city attorney for, 26 years, of employment or litigation, then they're going to have closed sessions. And part of the problem right now is almost everything they're dealing with becomes an employee or former employee situation, because it goes back to, well, what happened and why aren't we doing it? The things you've risen, for example, I can't respond to you with as much information as I would like to, because that is a lot of that is confidential, not because I want to make it confidential, but because California law makes it confidential. But I'll say this, the people who are saying these things, if they want to give the Home and Neighborly Service a waiver and say, we give you permission to discuss our circumstances, and we waive any right we have to sue you for violating our rights to privacy, if they want to do that, we'll be glad to talk about those specific situations.
Okay.
We got about 10 minutes left, so let's talk about some good things.
Yes. I think it was positive, and thank you for first and foremost volunteering your services, because I imagine that bill, if you're in charge of it, could go up pretty high. So the fact that you saw the need and you used to work with them and you want to see it have better days. So I just thank you for giving up your time and providing of your services, and to make a difference. And I hope that you will see Jose and the volunteers as an asset, that genuinely do care about the community, and they want to know how to be involved and engaged in a part of what the home is trying to bring to the community.
Yes.
So we just hope that helps this brings the mending, brings the heals the wounds, and it's a new day for all of us today.
I think that is what we want, and I want to get Jose's number before we leave here. And I'm going to see about setting up a situation for him to talk to some of the people, and maybe him coming to one of the board meetings.
Definitely.
That's something I'll be happy to do.
Yes.
What we don't want to do is we don't want to reinvent the past or fight the past battles. We want to get the services offered. We want volunteers there who are going to go forward rather than being concerned about what happened before, but from here on. And how do we serve the community?
Yes.
How do we do that? And that's what needs to be done. And I think it's going to be done.
But we, the people, want Home and Neighborly back up.
Yes, we do. We need it on the west side.
Here at the Alcrest block of KCAA, we were talking a little bit, maybe do a talent show, maybe do a little car show, maybe do a little bit of boxing. Bring some funds to the Home and Neighborly.
Yes.
And we could do it here. So we were talking about that. So, I don't know if everybody would be interested in that.
Well, I think they would be. I think they would be, Danny. And you and I talked about that on the phone, and that's something else I'm going to do. I'm not the director of the home anymore, and I'm not a board member, but I've talked to them, and they've expressed those interests to me, and I'm going to do what I can to get anyone who tells me they're interested in working to get them together with the people on the board or the Presbytery of Riverside to see what they can do. I think the board right now is a little gun shy of in terms of their dealings with people from before, and they feel handicapped in that they can't tell everything they know. Other people are saying other things about them, and they can't respond because they're the officials in charge of the home now, and the home has to follow the rules as an employer and as an official entity, as a corporation, where they don't deny anybody their rights. And among one of the most important rights is the right to privacy. And anyone who is on the home's board has a certain expectation of that, and anyone who's an employee has a great expectation of that. At the same time, when you turn that around, those same people can say just about anything they want, and the official representatives of the board can't respond, which is one reason that I'm here as their lawyer today instead of them being here. You know, they call lawyers mouthpieces, and there's a reason that they call us mouthpieces. Because I know what I can say and what I can't say. And even things I say, people sometimes will challenge, well, I'm going to sue because this, that. And my attitude is, well, I think I can handle that if you do sue.
Yes.
But I'm very careful how much I say. And of course, I'd like to say more. And that's why I make that offer again. If the people who are saying these things want to give us a signed waiver, give us permission to talk about their circumstances, that puts it in a whole new ballgame.
We need to bring hope back to this city somehow.
Yes, we do.
Well, and that's why the law firm Milligan, Beswick, Lamina, and Knox was so interested in helping the home. Actually, Councilwoman Virginia Marquez recommended to the board that they contact our office to see if we'd be willing to help, and they did, and we were, and met with them, and said, of course we'll help the home. I mean, a big part of my life was there at the Home and Neighborly Service. I was only 23 when I was hired as director. And the board showed a lot of confidence and a lot of courage to hire somebody at 23. But I lived there, worked there for many years. My family, one of my children passed away upstairs there. Home is more to me than just a former employer or a community center. It's part of my life.
Yes.
And I want to see the people who are running it to be people of the highest integrity, people we know we can count on. I want to see volunteers there that I'm sure people like Jose, like the people we had as volunteers when I was director there, people whose main concern is providing services for people in the community. There are a lot of people, especially children, in that area that really need.
The main concern is the kids.
A lot of services.
Because they were offering a lot of services for the kids, and even the homeless, they were offering service. I met with one lady that was there, and the home ended up finding her a job.
Hallelujah.
And she still lives in a shelter with her kids, but they also, and somebody gave her a car, and they help her out with food, and she helps out, trying to do whatever she can for the home as well. But I thought, gosh, that's a really good program. Somebody homeless and then comes in and they offer her all this stuff, and she's doing a lot better than she was. So I think we need to continue that.
We absolutely do, and we've had people from the business community helping too. Ray Reyes from R&M Tacos Catering, they're the ones that provided the food, for that Christmas dinner that I talked about, and they were planning to feed 150, and they fed 240, 280. So those loaves and fishes got multiplied.
That's what's up.
And that's one thing we want. And Ray's also the Aquinas girls basketball coach. And he was there, Sandra, Carlos, Victor, a lot of other people were there to make that particular event a success, and they were people from the community.
Yes.
And we need more of that, not less of that. And instead of being at arm's length from good good people who have volunteered there in the past. We need to get back with those people, and the board is going to want to make sure we know who they are, and we're confident that they're going to do the right thing and do right by the kids and right by the home.
Yes.
Because the board did not know before, and boards are volunteer people. They devote maybe a couple hours a week to something like this. They're putting in a lot more than that now, I can tell you, but they're trying to get it back on track. And I'm sure as they're doing that, they're going to make some mistakes. I'm sure that not everything is going to go perfect. And I suspect that most of the people that have stayed on the board at one time or another would like to have just left also. They'd have been happy to not have to deal with this. Let somebody else deal with this.
Yeah, I was wondering why most of them kind of put up with all this stuff. I mean, they're all volunteers, and, sometimes you just kind of want to get up and walk away. What am I doing here, So I was wondering the same thing.
Well, I think for the most part they do have a commitment to the community. I can't speak for them as individuals.
Yes.
I speak for the home, and the home is governed by the board, and I represent the home.
Yes.
I don't represent the individual board members. They're not my individual clients. The home is my client, and the board is the entity that makes the decisions for the home. So that's who I meet with. Obviously, when I say the home, I don't represent just a building. I represent, a movement, if you will, because the settlement house program was a movement, and it's still alive in this country, and we need to get it going again.
Yes.
That's what we need. Excuse me, that's what we need for San Bernardino, to have a movement and to make everybody have, so everybody can have hope again.
Yes.
And even the voters, they lost hope. Even the voters here, they lost hope.
I know about that, believe me.
Yeah, well, that's next. That's
when I ran for city council, well, that's a politics story, but anyways, when I went knocking on the door, they say, "What for, Danny? There's no hope here. I'm not going to even bother to go vote."
A lot of people feel that way, Danny, and I will tell you, just as there's hope for the home, there's hope for this community. We have to have the right people at the home, and we have to have the right people down at City Hall.
Yes.
And when we have the right people, and we did in this town for many, many years, and the home thrived and flourished, and the city thrived and flourished.
I remember.
For years, this city was a place to go to and a place to be. I mean, this has been a fairly recent phenomenon that, and a lot of it had to do with Norton closing. I'll tell you, we've never recovered from that.
I'm kind of tripping out because James Pittman on the show, I known him for years.
Yes.
As a politician, city attorney, and wow, this different person. Politician, regular guy.
Yes.
I'm tripping out on that.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. Well, it's nice to be a regular guy. When you're in politics and you hold an office, especially in the city, when you're the city prosecutor, it's a whole different persona. You almost have to be the tough guy, the guy that says no, the guy that says stop doing that. And for years, I mean, my first 13 years was director of the Home and Neighborly Service, working with kids, working with families.
Well, when I used to see you in the city, you were kind of intimidating with your,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Now I'm relaxed talking to Mr. James Pittman on the radio station.
I think if some of the council members would end up being a little bit
down to
earth, I think we can all kind of talk to them and kind of get along with them and find out more things about what's going on with the city and try to help out more.
Each other,
But sometimes they get, like you get scared. You don't want to talk,
Okay, we gotta go out. So we got a special edition coming up. It's the San Bernardino Politics.
Okay, thank you, Jim Pittman, for coming.
Thanks for having me. Thank you. Thank you, Jose.
This is 1050 AM KCAA Loma Linda and 106.5 FM Yucaipa.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
Hayden and the Broncos advance. I'm Keith Irizarry. Denver outscored Pittsburgh 11-3 in the final quarter to take the game 23-16. As for Manning, 222 passing yards. C.J. Anderson ran for 72 and a score. In the loss, Ben Roethlisberger threw for 339. It sets up a New England and Denver matchup next Sunday. Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning for the fourth time in their career in the AFC Championship game. In the earlier tilt, it was Carolina